it's hard to prepare for the fallout when they don't really have much of a structure besides backyard football, and it's hard to practice for that.
Welcome to Sports Review. I'm Jesse Valdez, alongside with David Vito. Vito, let's go ahead and get into the recap of what happened at the UTFL.
Yeah, let's jump into the highlights of Week 4. Let's start off with the Spartans and Hive. As the Spartans felt the pain with not having their quarterback in today's game as they ran the ball a ton, it wasn't enough as the Hive took care of business, defeating the Spartans 15-6. Next up, the Braves, led by their quarterback and wide receiver duo, as both players are near the top of each stat category. They blanked the War Chiefs 20-0. Next up was the Battle of the Outlaws. That turned into the Battle of Defense as the Utah Outlaws outlasted Wyoming 18-0 as they remain undefeated. The final game of Week 4 was between the Reapers and Fallout. A lot of talk on social media, but a lot of touchdowns for the Fallouts really silenced the doubters of the Reapers in a 48-0 victory. As we caught up with Sam Thomas after the game to hear his thoughts.
Someone said we were going to win 53-0, I think Hoodell or whatever, and I guess one of their players or one of their fans said that, you know, it wouldn't happen, so we kind of took it as, hey, let's make it happen. Let's light up the scoreboard.
Well, you heard it from the legend himself, the legendary Sam Thomas, saying that they really had something to prove, and unfortunately, that was no mercy for the Reapers.
They didn't only have something to prove. The keyboard warriors of the Reapers had something to prove, and they were not successful this week. And that's unfortunate, but that's, there's still a lot of fun chats back and forth about who's going to win. Hoodell, John Haddon, or Joe Madden, whatever you want to call him.
Joe Jadden.
Yeah.
John Jadden.
It's all the same. It's all the same. But they all predicted that the Fallout were really going to dominate this game. But the Fallout, they dominated once again. They haven't gave up any points so far this season. But they're not the only team that's not giving up points. Week to week, we're seeing a lot of teams put up 0 points on the scoreboard. And is that a concern for the league, you think?
You really have to wonder, is it a concern? I mean, my team and myself, we've played in this league for a really long time, 8 seasons, and it seemed like we were ultimately the conduit for them.
Yeah.
We would bring in great players, right? And come next season, these players were distributed to the league itself and to all these other teams, and then we had to start over. So, I mean, it's definitely a concern. I mean, do we have to do like drafts or something for these lower teams that need help? Or, I mean, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer for this.
But how big of a concern is it when you've got 5 teams over 500, 3 teams undefeated, 2 teams with 2 wins and 1 losses, and only 3 teams that haven't got a victory so far this year? So the standings are really close together if you look at it in that way. But you're right, there's going to be something that if a player like doesn't want to play for a certain team, maybe there's like a waiver wire each week where players want to be added. They have to either go to the teams that have the lowest win totals on the standings so far. That's another way to do it. But you're right, the Fallout have done a really good success building their team from past to present, getting players that want to come play for their team. But also the Space Force in their first year, they've got some great talent too, and they're one of the 3 undefeated teams.
Yeah, maybe, like you said, maybe this will naturally fix itself where you're going to see teams like the Space Force. Yes, the Fallout has been a team that has played in this league a long time and have built that core status with its players, right? They also steal players too. No, just kidding. They don't steal players, but there's at least one player on their team that, you know, was good enough to join their league. But we also have the Space Force, which is a brand new team, right? Brand new team, but yet the players that are on those teams, on that team specifically, are players we still know, and they're a brand new team, so they're following the footsteps of the Fallout, and they could possibly take that reign from them.
By the way, the Outlaws, Fallout, and Space Force are all 3-0, so they're doing something right to start this year, heading into Week 5.
We'll see where the league goes from here. But until then, continue to follow our show and interact with us within the show as well as on our pages. Until then, I'm Jesse Valdez, alongside with David Vito, plugging you into everything that matters.